Welcome to the Press One for Nick podcast. My guest today is Ryo Zsun. Ryo is the Culture Mystro at Zappos. He leads all campus tours at Zappos at headquarters, and he is a stellar example of what a zapponian really means. Ryo, welcome to the Press One for Nick podcast.
Nick, thank you for having me. I appreciate you thinking of us here at Zappos, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure's mine, man. So one question I ask every single guest at the very beginning is, what's one thing people might not know about you?
That's a really good question. So I have nicknames back home in Hawaii, and my nickname is Chops. And the backstory with that is I was an early walker, early talker. My grandma likes to nickname all the grandchildren, so she called me Chop Chop. And as I grew older, my cousins, my whole family, they all evolved it to Chops. And there's one funny incident where a family member came to visit me, and she didn't know my real name. She only knew me as Chops. And so she was kind of describing me, and they eventually deduced who it was, and we got connected. So that's one thing. Chops is my nickname.
So outside of the family, has anybody else call you Chops?
No. I think people will know now after hearing your show, but not many people know my nickname is Chops.
If you find a random person on the street walking by and saying, "Hey, Chops, what's going on, man?" You'll know that they at least are either family or they listen to the podcast.
That's exactly it. In fact, I did have a luau one time at home, and you could hear the different names: Ryo, Chops, or even my Hawaiian name, which is Hanale. So I kind of knew what if they fell into the family category, if they came into my friends or close friends, etc. So yeah.
It's so cool. It's an interesting story. So thanks for sharing. So, Zappos is known for a lot of things. They are, beyond known for their experience, their service, their call us about anything. And I think all of those are important, but I think people have already talked about that. What I kind of want to dig in a little bit more is more about what's going on, because the people right now, there's a mad dash to find all the right gifts. And it's make sure that, last minute, I'm working on my last minute shopping right now, and I might have to go over to Zappos to help me out. But, how has Zappos right now helping out their customers during this holiday season?
There's a lot of things that go on here. One of the things that I love about working in the call center is people actually call us in for exactly that. Hey, I'm looking for a gift. This is the person in my family. Can you help me find something suitable? And we'll actually help them go shopping at times. Sometimes it's just to help with their transactions. One thing I do love is something called Holiday Help. And this actually brings all our family together. Core value number 7 is build a positive team and family spirit. So every person outside of the call center actually dedicates work hours of 10 hours complete to be on the phones, to be there for our customers. Couple things happen here. And one, we're coming together as a family, as a company, to be there for our extended family, which is our customers. But at the same time, it truly brings us to our roots, because deliver wow through service is our number one core value. And that's something that's really important to us, to make sure that we could be there to connect with those who come and reach out to us here at Zappos.
So it's 10 hours total per employee per year. Does everybody need to participate in that?
Yes, it's actually policy. It's usually done during the holiday season when everything's triple volume as far as customers contacting us. But it's evolved over time because we are very passionate about our community as well. So we have the option to do part of it on the phones and part of it as volunteer help with local organizations here for our community. And I love that aspect, that we're not only connecting with our extended family through e-commerce, but also here locally in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's really cool. Have you already participated in your holiday help this year?
I did. So this year was a little bit different because most of us are working from home, but we still wanted to be there for our customers. So we did virtual sessions where we were sitting virtually side by side with a seasoned member, and we listened in on phone calls. And what I loved about the conversations that were being had is that wonderful way that we build these personal, emotional connections. It's so humbling to hear that we're still doing what we do. We're still passionate about our customers, and we do our best to go above and beyond to give that wow experience.
Yeah, so I'm sure that on those journeys, every time you go get that opportunity to get back into the call center or the contact center, that you have the ability to kind of listen to what the customer is saying and report back. So maybe what stories do you have on your journey this year?
So I can think of past ones that I've had, if you don't mind if I share some of those
Sure.
that I thought were
Yeah.
very poignant. One of my favorite ones is a customer who called in from New York. And honestly, she just needed a return label, but she was such a very engaging conversationalist that we ended up having a very long conversation. In fact, it was a total around 5 hours, if I remember right. But she's telling me how she grew up in Manhattan and all the wonderful things that she's done in her lifetime. And I remember in the middle of the call, I really had to use the bathroom. Core value number 6 is be open and honest. So I said, ma'am, I really have to use the toilet. She said, well, honey, put me on hold. I'll wait. And I said, okay. Went, came back, and we continued our conversation. But, I love that connection that we had, and that she felt close to share all these wonderful details about her life. I actually sent her a little card as a thank you to let her know that I enjoyed our connection. And a couple weeks later, I actually received a card back from her. That to me will always stay in my memory. Another favorite of mine, if you don't mind, is, oftentimes, we may not have the product the customer's looking for, and it just so happened to be the situation. And she was looking for a very particular size and color of a wedge shoe. And while she's telling me why it's so important to her for the event that she was going to attend, I actually had opened up a couple other browsers tabs and was searching for it online. I actually found it at another website, same price, exact size, etc. So I said, I think I found your shoe. Do you mind if I put you on a slight hold? So she just said, okay. So I put her on hold. I called the website's customer service. I said, can you verify you have this in stock? She said, yeah. I said, great. I'm calling from zappos.com. I have a customer I would like to transfer you to so she could purchase it off to your website. She couldn't believe I was going to do that. Then I go back to my customer. I tell her the same thing. She goes, wait a minute. Well, what's in it for you? And I said, ma'am, my job is customer service. I'm here to make sure you get what you need. So those are two random things that really resonated and still stays with me today.
Yeah, those are such awesome examples. And I got a couple of questions based off of those examples. So there is no time limit as of today of interacting with that customer. But what does that do for the person in New York that you had a conversation for what, 5 hours you said? What does that do for that relationship? And what makes you guys want to stay on hold or stay on that conversation for that long?
Well, ideally, we don't want to rush the customer off to move on to the next phone call. It's about building a relationship with every customer every time. And oftentimes conversations, and mind you, that doesn't happen all the time. An average call can last maybe 15, 20 minutes. But when we make a really great connection with the customer, we allow the customer to disconnect the call first. So sometimes they just have stories to share and we're there to listen. And she was, again, telling me some really great stuff.
Well, and then on the other one, I think it's so important, like you said, it's the importance of actually serving the customer and doing what's right for the customer. It's not always making the sale, regardless if you're at Zappos or any other company. It's serving them and doing what's right for them. And I think that's so awesome that you actually take that additional time, because you don't have to do that. That's not out of necessity, but it's the importance and the core values that you guys have that have aligned with the customer.
Very correct. There's another story that just popped into my head when you're explaining that. It was a shorter phone call, but I remember this customer from New Jersey called me. She said, I just need the phone number for this restaurant in Miami. And I said, okay, we get calls like that. And so I'm looking up the restaurant and she's telling me, she's going to meet up with some friends in the next week. This is a popular restaurant. Oftentimes it's hard to get a table there. I said, well, I have a better idea. Placed her on hold and actually made the reservation for her. And that way she was guaranteed a table. And I let her know that. And that was one extra step that she didn't need to do. But in the end of it all, when you think about it, who do you think she's going to think of first when she needs help in the future? Again, it was just an extra courtesy I extended to the customer, but it got what she needed.
And I could sit on this conversation all day and just continue to drill you with questions about that holiday help. But when it comes to the holiday help, though, I'm sure that all of these people who've taken that 10 hours every year to sit into the contact center, they've come up with a ton of ideas to improve the customer experience, because they're like, they don't have their horse blinders on and they're not sitting in the contact center all day, every day. and they probably have come up with regardless if it's operations or marketing or sales or anything else, they come up with a lot of great ideas. So what do they do with those ideas? How do they go about to Zappos to say, hey, I got an idea and it might improve the customer experience?
I like that question. Thank you for asking that. Core value number 4 is be creative, open-minded, adventurous. And we really encourage employees, if they do have a really great idea or inspirational idea that could be innovative to add to our culture or a business, we truly want them to start the conversations, find out who the resources are, and bring those ideas to fruition or to life. And one of the examples that was actually a product of helping out during the holiday help season was a conversation that was had with one of our Zapponians with her grandmother who was shopping for her grandson. And she let our Zapponian know that he's extremely autistic and very sensitive to materials, can't tie his own shoes, can't even button up his shirt. And the conversation continued and realized that there are really no clothing line available out there for people with different abilities. And Saul, the person who had the conversation, took that to our merchandising team and was asking our buyers, do we not have brands that we can reach out to bring this idea to life, to be able to have this available for that audience out there? And it turned into Zappos Adaptive a few years ago, and it's been growing ever since. Even during the pandemic, we added selling single shoes for our shoppers out there, for those who just need the one, or people who have 2 different size feet. And that's a really good example. During the pandemic was another idea that came out because everyone was isolated, and we realized that there are going to be people feeling a certain way during this situation. Someone came up with that idea, let's create a dedicated line for those customers who may need a phone help to find resources to get certain supplies where they live, or what to stream on Netflix, or just an ear to listen to. And that was available for the longest time, but we infuse that with our regular call center now. So basically people still call if they need someone to talk to, if they want to hear a joke, they're welcome to do so. So you never know where good ideas will come from. Sometimes it's inspired in the most coolest places, sometimes from conversations.
It is really cool. You mentioned talking about your telling a joke. So explain to my listeners your complex IVR.
Okay, so when someone calls into Zappos, you have really 3 options. One, just hang out on the line. We'll connect you up immediately as soon as we can. If you need the Spanish option, that's available too. Or you could simply press 5 and listen to the joke of the day. And it's actually my coworkers' voices that you'll hear. And we record them and then put them kind of on a loop, so they're always random every time you call. I have one for you if you'd like to hear it.
Yes, let's do this.
How do you make an orange laugh? You tickle its navel.
Not gonna lie, I love the dad joke, so I'm all for that one.
Last I heard, about 13% of our customers actually choose option 5 before getting connected to a CLT rep.
So we didn't talk about this, but what are your recommendations to other people who are maybe don't have the same core values that you have, or maybe don't want to tell a joke per se? How else do you get these experiences similar to the IVR of telling a joke? Because, like you said, that is a high rate of people taking that extra effort to maybe increase their mood a little bit.
Well, everyone deserves a smile here and there. I remember a customer called in, and I remember how upset she was that her shoes didn't match her purse. And I said something in the conversation. Mind you, she was in the beginning uncontrollably upset and emotional. And I said something to her where I can literally hear a smile in the tone of her voice. And that to me was an audible clue to, kind of bring in a little more happiness into our conversation. And I tell you, by the end of the phone call, she was calling me endearments. When we actively listen to the customer, it doesn't have to be what we do. Customers just want to know that people care about their situation, that we're actually really listening to them. And by creating that little connection with the customer, I think they feel that throughout the rest of the phone call. And I think that's important, because it's more than just talking to a customer service rep. It's like talking to a friend, or maybe a relative or whatnot, someone a little bit more closer.
Yeah, I love all these things that you're doing to wow your customers. Do you do the same thing to wow your employees or business partners?
Yes, I have a really cool story. Uh, Sorry, I got tons of stories, but this one, I was actually off of work and I was walking home. I live close to our campus here, and someone had asked about the downtown Fremont area. I said, well, I'm walking home, I can give you a little tour. And I shared a lot of what Zappos has done in their involvement and whatnot. And I didn't think anything of it. By the time I was done, I said goodbye. What I didn't know is he sent an email to the company saying, hey, I was wowed by Ryo. He gave me a tour of downtown. He didn't have to. He really does live the core values. That's what I heard, the email said. So I'm in a meeting one day and it was rudely interrupted by a big parade of my favorite coworkers blasting Mariah Carey. People who know me know I love Mariah Carey. And they're playing Emotions. And they awarded me a ticket to go see her opening night at Caesar's Palace here in Las Vegas, May 6th of 2015. I was beside myself. And I remember in the middle of the concert, I was like, oh my gosh, I could touch Mariah, but I didn't. That would have been creepy. But what the company probably didn't know was my birthday was the very next day. So with that wow mentality, we have a wow philosophy that anyone we interact with, we want to leave with a wow experience, not only just beyond our customers and our community, but also with our business partners and our employees. With the employee wow factor, there are so many things from holiday gifts to different parties like the picnics that we have, et cetera, always engaging, always fun, and always ways to wow. We have peer-to-peer recognition programs to wow each other, and even our vendors. This is what I love. We'll actually shut down the entire company and say, thank you for doing business with us. We'll actually host an event to gather everyone together because we don't want to treat that as a transactional relationship. We consider them an extension of our family. So there are different ways that every moment we try to figure out ways to wow each other. And even with that wow electricity, it kind of resonates with the Zapponians themselves. They always go above and beyond for each other. And it's fun to watch because they're putting smiles on other people's faces.
So cool. It seems like you guys live and breathe those core values. And one of the things that I've heard in the past is talking about kind of the onboarding process. And if somebody doesn't always obviously agree or want to be a Zapponian, in after that onboarding process, you kind of say, hey, here's some money to leave. And I don't know a whole lot of organizations, if any, make it as easy to leave as it is to join, because you want to make sure that culture is aligned with that employee experience to deliver on that customer experience. And I just think that's so awesome that you guys have the ability to do that.
I remember being in new hire training and hearing, hey, we're going to pay you to quit. And I'm like, what? But I love it here. I like my coworkers. But I'll be honest, our culture is not for everybody. We want to make sure that people who remain here are happy and want to be here. And so we give the opportunity to say, hey, you know what? If this is not the culture for you, here is a cushion of money that you can leave our company with and use that to pay your bills, take care of needs, and find the job or career that will make you happy. And I think that's just really great, because after 4 weeks immersed in this unique culture and learning about who we are, and it may not be for everyone. So there's that opportunity for them to find something more suitable.
I had a similar, somebody didn't pay me to leave, but a boss, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, about 3 weeks into the job, I obviously liked the job or else I wouldn't have taken it. And he's like, when you go to your next role, I just want to let you know that, I appreciate you and I'm going to make sure that you succeed in the role that you're in today. And I'm like, am I fired? Like, is there something wrong? What's going on? And he's like, I literally said that out loud. He's like, no, man, you're good. And I hope you stay here for 25 years. But I just want to tell you, I appreciate you. And I'm going to give you the best opportunity to succeed today and into the future. And I was like, man, that made me probably stay longer than I would have in the past.
That's funny. I love that story. Because
Yeah.
you preface it with that and you're like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm in the car with him driving down the highway and I was like, oh man, he's gonna just boot me right out the side. I'm a goner.
What I love about here is a lot of my coworkers, we've been here for many, many years. It's really, I just recently celebrated, pardon me, my 9-year anniversary here. And the journey that it took me to get to where I'm at was incredible. I started off as a barista. I don't know if I told you. And then a year later went into the call center and then tour guide ever since then. But that's an example of everybody's journey. And I think when we invest in the employees, they want to remain here. They want to still be here. And I love that.
Absolutely. So when you go to the barista today, what's your favorite order?
I'm sorry?
If you go to the barista today, what would be your favorite order?
Always green tea, lightly sweetened.
Got
Because
it.
I'm hyper already. If I can imagine when I was younger, when I was drinking actual coffee, I would speak 1,000 miles per hour. Or I'm like out the door 5 seconds, that kind of thing. So I had to calm myself down. Tea's a little bit better for me.
It is.
How about you?
Sounds good. So I would do like the Americano.
Nice.
Nothing to it, just super simple, but it doesn't get me too riled up. It's not a red eye or anything crazy, but I might need a little bit more pep in my step than you, Ryo.
That was awesome.
So, when it comes to customer service, Zappos is known for just this awesome wow experience, but it doesn't always happen that way, right? So what happens, maybe what are a couple of stories where Zappos has maybe righted a mistake that, it didn't go in the ideal way that you wanted it to? Oh,
yeah, we're like any other company in customer service, because sometimes things do happen and not always is it, our fault, but we'll always take ownership of the situation. I remember in the early days of being in the call center, a customer called in and she actually ordered a really nice pair of shoes, but what she got instead was a pair of slippers. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And now I feel really bad because we failed her as a customer. And so I'm looking up her account, we're talking. She goes, I got to tell you though, they're kind of cute. It looks like something I would wear. I said, well, did you try them on? She said, I'm wearing them now as we speak. I said, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to ship you overnight your actual shoes that you ordered and go ahead and keep those. Don't even bother sending those back. And that to me, because she loved the reaction I heard from her. She's like, oh my God, are you serious? I said, consider that a gift from us to you, because we made this mistake. That was one of my favorite things that I remember about. And that's a really good, clear indication of the decisions we get to make, to think outside the box and go above and beyond to wow our customers in almost every situation. But that's one example. Another one I have, if you don't mind, I'm sorry if I'm feeling talkative today.
No, don't apologize for telling stories about Zappos. That's what you're here for.
Well, there was another customer I had on the phone where the product actually got shipped to an old address of theirs. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And we didn't really know what happened, how it got shipped to the wrong address. But I just said, I'm just going to go ahead and ship you your actual product, and I'll just make arrangements for your product to get picked up at the old place that you were at. And they were really surprised. Are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, because I know my neighbors from the old place. I can ask them to go get it. I said, no. Let's make your life easier. Let's go ahead and retrieve our own package. You just enjoy your shoes when they arrive tomorrow. So I like that we get to do that. But, we try and strive to always make good out of a bad situation.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And I think half that is just the communication back and forth, regardless if it went really good or really bad or somewhere in the middle. It's the communication of, hey, we let you down, or we didn't meet your expectations. So here's what we're going to do. And you had the ability to empower those contact center representatives to solve that problem.
I have one other story, if you don't mind. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
So a customer was wondering about the delivery of her product, if I could find out when to expect it. So I looked at her tracking information. I said, well, it's going to arrive on this day. She goes, no, that's not going to work. I said, ooh, what's going on? Turns out she was driving from Florida to Georgia to attend her son's wedding. I was like, oh my gosh. So she's now telling me about her son. She's so proud of him and the lovely wife and the family, et cetera. And she told me, I said, well, you're driving up to Georgia. Where are you going to be staying? And she gave a name of the hotel. I Googled it and actually rerouted the package to be delivered there. So when she arrives, the package should be arriving at the same time. And I thought that was great because she mentioned her son and the whole family and the whole backstory and everything. I wanted to send them something nice. So I asked for the address and actually sent a little surprise gift for their wedding day. So these are, again, it's that ability to think outside the box and be creative, but to take a bad situation and turn it into a positive.
So you thought outside the box, but you were actually active listening, kind of like what you were talking about before, right?
It was so endearing to hear her talk about her son and how he met his wife and how they felt. I mean, it's a wonderful thing when you are able to connect with the customer and they can just feel free to share and be open. I think that's truly the relationship part of it. And I like that.
Love that too. So one thing that you did too while your during the pandemic, which you're still doing again this year, from my understanding. So maybe tell my listeners a little bit about that and how they can participate.
I'm sorry, Nick, you had cut out a little bit on my screen. Can you repeat
You're good.
that? I'm sorry.
You're good. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so last year you implemented something that was pretty awesome called Virtual Santa, and you're doing it again this year. So maybe tell my listeners more about what that is and how they could participate.
What's really great about the virtual Santa is we understand the situation that most people are living in. It's, going to see Santa is part of the Christmas spirit and the holiday. And so we wanted to be able to do that and provide that for our families out there. And so virtual Santa was introduced last year and it's introduced again. But it's a way for parents or anyone to sign up and book a call for however many minutes. And Santa will actually call back and be able to talk to the kids. And I think that's wonderful in the spirit of the holiday season. But we're doing more than that. I know we're collaborating by donating to Salvation Army this year. And I think that's another layer of that. And for every booked call, I think we're also donating $5 up to $5,000 for donations. So I think that's, what I love about the whole idea is anyone could be e-commerce, really. Anyone can sell shoes like we do or sell clothing, but to do these things that go above and beyond that, that's another layer of why I enjoy working in our company.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's not necessarily about e-commerce. It's not about the shoes. It's not about the clothing. It's not about the partners. It's about the experience that you're going to give them. And now experience, as of this year, last year, is more important than product or price. And I just think that you guys are doing an amazing job at that. And you're not just staying constant. You're not like, okay, well, we nailed it, checkbox, we got this experience figured out. But you're trying to always figure out ways to improve and innovate and get creative to deliver on the experience and then empower your employees to do so. So, a round of applause to you guys for stepping out and just, I couldn't say enough good things about you guys.
Well, even a lot of the charitable events that happen here locally, where I get to see the things that we do. I mean, it just warms me up inside. And I love that we truly connect and we care about our community around us. And we want to make sure that we leave them with a great experience. One of the things that just popped in my head is our Zappos for Good team and how we do the toy drive or something called Turkey Town, where we are able to provide families with all the supplies they need, whether it's the Thanksgiving meal or maybe it's presents for their kids. These are the things that just adds another layer of the wow experience as just being a Zapponian working here.
So cool. So Ryo, I ask every single guest 2 questions at the very end.
Okay.
And the first one is, what book or person has influenced you the most in the past year? So I'll pause there.
Okay, so the last book I read was Atomic Habits by James Clear. I really enjoyed the little bite-sized examples of what we can do to always increase for better habits to move ourselves forward. I enjoyed that. As far as influence, though, I want to say my coworkers were the biggest influence on me this last year. We were going through a pandemic and we were supporting each other. And I love that I could look to them to always lift me up when I needed to. So I hope that answers both those items.
Yeah, I love the book and the bringing it back to the team. I think that's exactly what you guys are all about. So the second question is, if you could leave a note to every single customer service rep and it's going to hit everybody's desk Monday at 8 a.m., what would it say?
How will you wow? I think that resonates more than just being a customer service rep, but it could resonate to your coworkers, to your family, etc. How will you wow? Maybe how will you wow today?
Yeah, and how will you wow in this specific interaction on this specific conversation? How do you deliver the Zappos experience even when you're not at Zappos? Just because you don't have the same core values doesn't mean you can't deliver them.
Exactly. So even when I'm out in public, I try to, if there's opportunities for me to go above and beyond for someone, even if I don't know that person, it could be just saying bless you to someone who sneezed in the next aisle, something simplistic like, or getting the door for someone at a department store, things like that. It resonates really loudly. And I encourage all of you to do that.
Love it. So what's the best way to connect with Zappos or to connect with Ryo?
If you want to connect with Zappos, our phone number is not hidden. It's on the top of the website and it's stationary. Give us a call, and you can actually call them to get a hold of me if you need to.
Sounds good. I learned so much. I had a blast, and I learned such amazing stories, and I bet my listeners did as well. Hopefully they continue that Zapponian experience, not just with inside their own contact center, but in life. So Ryo, thank you so much. I had a blast, man, and looking forward to staying in touch.
I enjoyed talking to you. Make it so easy. And to all your listeners out there, I hope little bits of the stories will inspire good ideas. And thank you for having us. Truly.
You bet.